This is my Wowgo 3, which I got it second hand and the previous owner had it for 1 year. It has been in storage for the last 3 years and now the remote isn't working and the whole thing is like sticky and slimy and it can't turn on. So let's fix it. So the first step in diagnosing the problem is of course to plug it into a charger and oh look, it is actually charging. However, it's showing like it is like 80-90% and when I press on the power, nothing happens. And if I unplug it and plug it back on, it's charging again. But this time, pressing and holding the power button does nothing and every time I pull off the plug, it can't turn on again. So what we need is just a medium-sized screwdriver, alright, a Phillips screwdriver, and then there's only actually one screw to hold this whole remote together. It is behind this sticker and you can see this screw, and let's take this apart. Alright, just removing the screw, and from the bottom where the charging port is, gently pry open. And you will be able to, alright, this is the strap that is holding the remote. Well, you'll be able to separate this cover and be very careful because there's one piece of antenna cable connecting these two covers together. We don't want to accidentally yank it out, but you can see that there's one piece of catch that's broken, right? So we'll fix that later. This is the wheel that can adjust the speed. It is with two magnets there, so we don't want to lose the spring. Remove it and put it aside. And now let's get to the main problem. I suspect it's the battery all along. So the battery looks a little bit bloated. We can confirm by testing it using a multi-tester, and you can see that it's only registering 2 millivolts, which is kind of strange because single cell batteries like this should be showing anywhere around 3 volts or 3.7 volt. Even with the charger connected, it is still showing only 2 or the most 6 millivolts. So I found this online. It is the same single cell 3.7 volt, 300 milliamp hours. So next what we're going to do is using the soldering iron, melt away the solder so that we can remove the positive and the negative from the old battery. And with that, just gently pry open the battery from the adhesive. We don't want to puncture the battery because it might cause fire. And with that, we can now see the old battery stated 3.7 volt and around 300 milliamp hours. And physically, the size looks the same. The new batteries came with longer cables, so we can now solder back. First, let's start off with the negative, which is the black cable on the far right, and then the positive cable. Okay, the positive and negative is labeled clearly on the board. So with it soldered, let's test it out with the multi-tester, and look at that, it has 3.6 volt. Usually in a factory it's just loosely charged, probably like 25% or 50%. And if we turn it on, yes, it is now turned on, and of course it's saying disconnected because I didn't turn on the skateboard yet. Alright, so pressing and holding the power button will turn it off. So it means that the battery is now working and the circuit is now working. So we just place the battery back to its original adhesive since it's still sticky. If it's not, just apply a double-sided tape and you are good to go. Okay, so it's back in place and it's very sturdy. Now we just reverse the entire order, put it in the speed tuning knob, and then gently close the cover. Oops, you see there, the cable is clipped over there, so make sure that the cable is nicely tucked in before we firmly press on the case to close the case and reattach back the screw later. Make sure that all the knobs are turning well before we tighten the screw. Okay, so of course there's a little gap because one part of the clip broke. But with that, now the remote is back in place. Let's turn it on again. It is working well. Alright, and next what we're gonna do is just to clean up this entire remote a bit because you have all this residue and all these sticky things. So usually To clean it off, I use hand sanitizer. Because of the alcohol, it can easily take away all this gunk and slimy melted rubber. Okay, we'll do it a few times, and I use a paper towel so that you can just easily clean it off and throw it away. You can use cloth as well, but the sticky substance will be sticking on the cloth. So with that done, you can still see that it's a little bit rough. So I'll proceed to use a plastic cleaner or plastic polisher. This is from Autosol, and this particular tube has been with me for the last 12 years, and it is still working excellently. So we just repeat the process a few times until you're satisfied with it. And now you can see that the remote is like shiny, plasticky, and all the gunks and sticky rubber is gone. With that, I reattach this keychain, which I like it a lot because I use it as a strap to make sure that the remote doesn't fall off. I can just clip it on like this, and then on this part, I can put it over my wrist, and it will prevent me from dropping the remote when I'm on the skateboard. Alright, so with that, let's plug the cable in, and it is charging well. The indicator is showing that it is climbing, so probably the charge is like less than 30%, and let's turn it on. So let's proceed to try it again, this time with the skateboard on, and it shows that, oh, the remote battery is low, it's at 10% only, and well, it's functioning well, and it can turn the skateboard motors. Alright, okay. So what I'm going to do right now is let's power it off, and then let's leave it to charge for around half an hour and revisit in a short while. Okay. Alright, 30 minutes later, and it's still charging by showing the last bar. And let's turn it on, and this time the remote is showing that the battery indicator is full on the remote and also on the skateboard. And by turning the dial, I can speed up the skateboard, and it is now working perfectly. After testing all the modes, I press and hold on the power button to turn it off. And this is a simple video to change the battery on the WowGo remote, and this will be applicable for any other types of remote for electric skateboard as well. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to our channel for more fixed head DIY.